them and giving them less of the equation. You don't have to go to these extremes to separate them, make them eat separately. Make sure that your other kid doesn't grab a chip out of, his plate or her plate, or a fry or something like that, or don't touch his cup. No. You can mix your wealth with them, mix your food with them, mix your drink with them. But the point is, ikhwanukum, they're your brothers. Don't wrong them. They are part of your community as well. And don't wrong them. There are other narrations in this regard as well. I'm just going to kind of move forward because of the time that we have. Asma bint Ubayd, radiyallahu anha, this is an Adab al-Mufrad as well. She said, I said to Ibn Sirin, rahimahullah ta'ala, I have an orphan in my care. What do I do? What's the context of the hadith? The companions feared wrong, but they didn't want to touch the orphans. They didn't want to touch the yatama because they were afraid Allah would punish them on the Day of Judgment if they did. So they only disciplined their biological children. And this became a problem. That's why Aisha radiallahu anha, this is another narration, she said that I have orphans and I discipline them until they start crying on the floor. Don't feel bad. They're your children. You raise them like your children. So she said, I asked Ibn Sirin rahimahullah ta'ala, what do I do? I have an orphan in my care. Ibn Sirin rahimahullah, he says, treat them as you treat your own child and discipline them as you discipline your own child. Now the ulama say that sounds, you might think that sounds harsh. Why is it not harsh? Because the point of discipline is not to inflict pain or anything of that sort. The point of discipline is to protect them in the spiritual sense as well. And you also have to give them a good upbringing and a righteous upbringing, which is going to at times require a level of discipline. So you should not fear that if I say something to my adopted child or to my foster child, that I'm going to go to hell for disciplining that child. I'm doing that child a favor just like I'm doing my other kids a favor. I'm trying to make sure that they stay protected. So this is actually a chapter in our books of fiqh and hadith about disciplining the orphan being permissible because the companions feared the implications of that. Otherwise, you let them become corrupted. You might be protecting them in dunya, but you're ruining their akhirah. You're ruining their hereafter. You don't want them to be spoiled brats. On the other hand, you want them to be normal, good, righteous children, just like all your other little angels in the house, mashallah. Right? I know, that was sarcastic, sorry. All right. But your goal is to protect that child in the worldly sense and protect them in the sense of the hereafter as well. And this is something that's narrated. We also find from Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu that the Prophet ﷺ insisted that the guardian has no right to force the previously married woman into a marriage, and an orphan girl should be consulted with her marriage. Why? Because obviously sometimes if you have a charity case, another problem, you'll start treating that child like a charity case. So someone comes to ask for her hand in marriage, and you say, hey, so-and-so is here to ask for you. And she says, I don't like that person. You can't say, get out of my house. I've had you for so long. You need to marry that person. Some people do that with their actual daughters, right? SubhanAllah. So the Prophet ﷺ is saying, the orphan girl has a right. That's revolutionary in that time, by the way. Because even the non-orphan girl did not have a right to choose who to marry. She didn't have a right to consent at the time of the Prophet ﷺ. Forced marriage was the norm in the time of the Prophet ﷺ. So the Prophet ﷺ said the orphan girl has the right, just like your other daughters, to consent to who she wants to and who she does not want to marry. The last hadith here that I mentioned, subhanAllah, as we go